a Transcendental Diary by Hari Sauri Prabhu. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Desitarine. So, we are in Sri Vrindavan Dham. I was so ill I couldn't massage Prabhupada today, so I asked a friend of mine from Australia, Bhagavad Ashray Prabhu, to stand in for me. He did a good job with the massage, but when he escorted Srila Prabhupada to his bathroom, he made a blunder. Prabhupada entered the bathroom, closing the door behind him. Without thinking, Bhagavad Ashray slid the bolt, locking the door from the outside, and began to walk away. Can you hear me? Yeah. Srila Prabhupada heard the bolt slide and began to pull on the door. Bhagavad Ashray fortunately heard him rattling the door and realizing that what he had done, hurried back to unbolt it. Srila Prabhupada opened the doors and with reserved concern admonished him, "Don't lock." Greatly embarrassed, Bhagavad Ashray promised that he would not do it again, and Prabhupada disappeared back inside to complete his ablutions. Rameswar Swami sent some beautiful photos of all the deities in New Dwarka taken during Janmashtami and Radhastami. One photo showed an impressive 600-pound birthday cake offered to Lord Krishna on Janmashtami. The cake had 5 mountains, each sprinkling a different kind of nectar. Rameshwar Maharaj details some dealings the devotees have had with an award-winning author and art critic, Frank de Felitta, who has written a best-selling book about reincarnation. It is being made into a movie called Audre Rose and is scheduled for release in April 1977. One scene will include the devotees chanting Hare Krishna. Mr. De Felitta has become friends with Mukunda and Jagannath Sutta Prabhus and recently spent many hours touring the BBT art department and the theistic exhibition. He was especially impressed with the dioramas and wants to advertise the exhibition alongside his movie because they have similar theme. Rameshwar solicited Srila Prabhupada's help so that they can take advantage of the offer. He wants to help by getting major network stations to cover the opening of the Los Angeles exhibit and showing the changing bodies and universal form displays on nationwide TV. So in this connection, I'd like to humbly beg your divine grace one request. If you could kindly write to me one letter ordering that the LA Theistic exhibit must be completed by the time of the Mayapur festival. Just like when you ordered the BBT to publish 17 volumes in 2 months. Materially it was impossible, but by the spiritual force of your order, it became possible. So, just quick. So here they are talking about in the LA temple there is a nice exhibit, like in Mayapur also there is this diorama they call them. So, and there is the universal form and the changing of the bodies and like murti, like a diorama. So, and they call them theistic exhibit. And Srila Prabhupada liked this type of presentation also. He liked dramas also very much. Once there was a team of devotees, their name was Vaikuntha Players, I think, and they did some drama of Krishna kidnapping the Rukmini and Krishna kidnapping Rukmini, I think they've performed this in one of the festivals. Srila Prabhupada was so pleased to see the dramas. He said, "This drama is better than my books." Because he saw that they were so sincerely performing and it was coming alive, the whole pastime was coming alive. So he liked these kind of presentations. And generally you see in all of Srila Prabhupada's books, you have pictures. I mean, if you see other philosophical, other religious books, there are not many pictures. Bible has no pictures, Quran has no pictures. But Srila Prabhupada, he really did this, and it's like not just one photo, it's like so many nice 16 pages, all very nice photos. And even though the artists, they were not expert in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada, he gave them the instruction of how to draw, and he would call them, these are the windows to the spiritual world. So all these different types of presentation of Krishna consciousness that is art related is also very attractive to the public. We have so much to present, and especially the art. If anyone was an artist and they would come, Srila Prabhupada would immediately engage them to do some art. So one of the first devotees was Jadurani Mataji, and so Prabhupada engaged her, and so many artists came after that. They would ask Srila Prabhupada about how this pastime, how this person looks, should there be a halo behind, or all the kinds of questions, and Prabhupada would answer like this. And so art is very significant in presentation of Krishna consciousness also. And here Rameshwar Prabhu, Rameshwar Swami, then is requesting Srila Prabhupada to ask the devotees to complete this exhibit by Mayapur festival, so he could show this to this guest who wanted to include it in the movie. And he asked Srila Prabhupada to ask the devotees to do this like, there is a history where Srila Prabhupada asked the devotees to finish Chaitanya Charitamrita, the 17 volumes, in 2 months. It's a very nice pastime. Srila Prabhupada was concerned that the books, he was translating it so fast and giving the purport so fast, but of course the book process is very long, First day, Prabhupada was literally speaking, he was not writing, he was speaking. He was speaking his books. So he was speaking, and there would be someone hearing, typing it out, and the Sanskrit editor would check everything, all the Bengalis and the Sanskrit. There would be then the proofreading, editing, and then the artist would look and then draw photos, and then would go for publishing. So it's a very long process. It's very hard work. And Srila Prabhupada, he wanted this Chaitanya Charitamrita to be published somehow. So Rameswar Swami, and there was another devotee, Gopi, I think Gopi Janna Vallabha Das. They were walking with Srila Prabhupada in the morning walk one day, and Prabhupada was pushing them, you're not publishing fast enough. And so Rameswar Swami, he says, Srila Prabhupada, we can do, I think he said, 1 volume in 1 month. We can do this, Normally, I think they took for 1 volume of Chaitanya Charitamrita several months, So if I'm not wrong, Rameswar Swami said, we can do one volume in 1 month. That much we can do if we have to arrange the schedule. And Srila Prabhupada, he said, no, do all 17 volumes in 2 months. And the devotees were shocked. They thought Prabhupada was speaking. Are they hearing the correct thing? And then they ask again, in 2 months? And both of them, they are shocked. And Rameswar Swami, he says, Srila Prabhupada, that's impossible. And Prabhupada said, impossible is a word in a fool's dictionary. So they are shocked, and then they don't even finish the morning walk. They are so much in anxiety, so they go back, two of them, they go back to organize to finish the 17 volumes in 2 months. And they make such a big plan. The artists, the artists, they organize everything in such a way that the artists, they are painting literally 24 hours a day. So one artist is painting, and when they are tired, they take rest. The other artist comes and completes. Yeah. So they organized it in such a way, and devotees were working like 24 hours a day to finish the 17 volumes, and they could do it. So Rameswar Swami was requesting Prabhupada to ask here the devotees to do the same for the theistic exhibit. Yeah. So that's art, using art in Krishna service. So actually art is also used in Christianity quite a lot to show so many things. And just by looking at the pictures, people are attracted sometimes. Sometimes if I don't know some language in some, especially when I don't know the language, I just show the art, and they are so attracted. Wow. So nice. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraят Nastaprayasha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance of the classes of Srimad Bhagavatam, and by service to the devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead is established as an irrevocable fact. This is the translation of that Nastaprayasha Bhadreshu. So, text 56, chapter 14, canto 6, text 56. Chapter name is King Chitraketu's Lamentation. Tam tata narhasi chamam kripanam anatham taktum vichaksvapitaram tava sokataptam anyastarema bhavata prajadustaram yad Dvantam nayahi akarunena yamena duram Tam tata narhasi cha mam kripanam atmanam anatam Tvaktum vichaksva pitaram tava shokataptam Anjastarema bhavata prajadustaram yar Dantam nayahi akarunena yamena duram Tam tata narhasi chamam kripanamanatham Taktum vichakshva pitaram tava shokataptam Anjastarema bhavata prajadustaram yar Dvantam nayahi akarunena yamena duram Tam tada narhasi chamam kripanam anantam Taktum visaksa pitaram tava shakataptam Anjastarema bhavata prajadustaram yad Dhantam nayahiya karunena yamena duram Tam tata narhasi chamam kripanam anantam Taktum vichaksa pitaram tava shokataptam Anjastarema bhavata prajadustaram yad Antam nahi akarinena yamena duram Word for word Tvam You Tata My dear son Na Not Arhasi Ought Cha and Mam Me Kripanam Very poor Anatham without a protector Tyaktum to give up Vichaksva look Pitaram at the father Tava your Sokataptam affected by so much lamentation Agya okay Anja easily Tarema we can cross Bhavata by you Aprajadustaram very difficult to cross for one without a son Yat which Dvantam the kingdom of darkness Nayahi do not go away Akarunena merciless Yamena with Yamaraj, Duram, any further. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. My dear son, I am helpless and very much aggrieved. You should not give up my company. Just look at your lamenting father. We are helpless because without a son we shall have to suffer the distress of going to the darkest hellish regions. You are the only hope by which we can get out of these dark regions. Therefore I request you not to go any further with the merciless Yama. Purport. According to the Vedic injunctions, one must accept a wife just to beget a son who can deliver one from the clutches of Yamaraj. Unless one has a son to offer oblations to the Pitas or forefathers, one must suffer in Yamaraj's kingdom. King Chitraketu was very much aggrieved, thinking that because his son was going away with Yamaraj, he himself would again suffer. The subtle laws exist for the karmis. If one becomes a devotee, he has no more obligations to the laws of karma. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch light of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto his lotus feet. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaurate Se Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we are continuing the story of Chitraketu, King Chitraketu. So at this point his son is dead and he is lamenting. Naturally it's very difficult when your relative, especially your son, passes away. So Chitraketu's son, when Angira Muni comes in the beginning of the story, he is talking to Chitraketu, but Chitraketu is not able to understand spiritual knowledge at that point because he was unhappy and he was looking for the sun. So Angira Muni does not say anything to him at that point. So and then he gives the benediction that of course he will have the son, the wife will get pregnant and then he will have a son. And he gives the son the name Harsashok. So Harsashok means happiness and distress. So he tells the father, your son will be the cause of your happiness, but your son will also be the cause of your suffering. So he predicts that, okay, this son will also give you unhappiness. So he has a son, he is very happy. He gets finally what he's desired. But then he is affectionate to the wife who begets this son, the mother of this child. But the other co-wives, they are envious and they poison the child for him to die. And then the child dies and he is struck with lamentation. And at this point he is talking to his dead child. We can imagine the the atmosphere that everyone is crying. Of course, the co-wives are also crying, but they are just acting, because they are the ones who poison the child. But everyone else, all the citizens, all the palace people, they're also crying, and the wife is crying. And he says to the child, you have to come back. You are the only hope. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, why? Because normally in Vedic tradition, the son is called Putra. Putra means you deliver your forefathers from the hellish regions, hellish planets. So how they do that is by doing something called Shraddha ceremony, where they offer some prasadam of Vishnu to their forefathers, so that if they are in the hellish regions then they can be delivered. So that is why in Vedic tradition people look for sons somehow. But later on it became a very, still now it's, because they don't know the reason, they just want a son for the sake of having a son. It's without much knowledge, and there is discrimination somehow. It, just like the caste system, originally it was supposed to be a very scientific varnashram system, but later on it went into becoming discrimination against, because the brahmanas started exploiting. So this also later on started becoming a kind of discrimination. If they would have a girl, then they would start discriminating. So it became very not as initially without knowledge. But the original thing was the son would offer Vishnu Prasad. So these are the subtle laws that exist. So that the universe has many laws. It is said that the world is perfect. Sometimes people say, why is there suffering in this world? Why is God creating so much suffering? Why are people unhappy? Why does God not make everyone happy? You know? But the Bhagavatam says that the world is actually perfect. And just like in a perfect government, the police, they're acting perfectly. The government is acting perfectly. And in a perfect government, there is a perfect justice system. In a perfect justice system, in the eyes of the law, everyone is equal. Like we see the justice, if in places like Geneva, where this initially they have this photo, statue of the justice lady, but she has her eyes blinded, and she is, I think she has some kind of scale that represents that on the eyes of the law, everyone is equal. So the universe is also a system, like a big government system, and there are many laws that exist. So in a perfect world, in a perfect government, for example, if an innocent person is exploited, then they should be punished, right? If there is a person walking on the street, and if someone comes and commits violence to that person, then this person is punished. So similarly, in the law of nature, if someone exploits the other person, then that person is also punished. And that's where law of karma comes. But sometimes the reaction may come in not in this very lifetime also. It can come in another lifetime. So all karma, reincarnation, it's all connected in this way. And all the suffering we have can be connected to law of karma. So that is why this world is now perfect. Although seemingly it may seem not perfect, people are suffering. But in the bigger eye, the world is perfect. It's according to the choice of the individuals that they suffer. And the more we go away from spiritual knowledge, the more we suffer. In any place, in any point in history where people were living a God-conscious life, there was less suffering. And when people were greedy, and when people were exploiting, and when people were just into sense gratification more, then that society would suffer. Right? So these subtle laws, they exist, Prabhupada says, they exist for the karmis. If one becomes a devotee, he has no more obligations to the law of karma. So this is interesting. It's so when one becomes a devotee, the Nrsimhadev, he says to Prahlad Maharaj, all your 14 generations up and down are liberated. And when Dhruva Maharaj, when he was going back to the spiritual world, the aeroplane comes, and then Dhruva Maharaj is thinking, where is my mother? And the Vishnu Dutas, they show him that his mother is also in another aeroplane back to Godhead. So when one becomes a devotee, then he or she can liberate his family as well. So the best thing we can do for our family is become a pure devotee. That's the best blessing we can give to our families. It's become a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada, he really praised the parents of his disciples. Once Brahmananda Prabhu, Brahmananda Prabhu is one of the first devotees who joined, and he had a brother, Garga Muni. Both of them joined Prabhupada. And their mother was a little upset. So she came to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was very expert, He's very expert in dealing with everyone. And he was very thankful to their mother. And he was saying things like, a good fruit comes from a very good plant. So he was praising. And then he was expertly trying to deal, and he said, we are also looking for some donations. He wanted money. He wanted to print books, and the mother was thinking, I have already given you my 2 sons. What else do you need? And Prabhupada said, okay, thank you very much. He was trying to tell her. He was trying to let her say that she had given her 2 sons already. So, and he even instructed Brahmananda Prabhu to when you first see your mother, you offer obeisances. So Brahmananda Prabhu didn't want to do this, but it was Prabhupada's instruction. So whenever he would go home and knock the door and mother would open, he would be down offering obeisances to his mother, because that was Prabhupada's instruction. So Srila Prabhupada, he would say, and he also met so many parents of the devotees, like Urmila Mataji also shares that her father came to see Srila Prabhupada and they had a nice conversation, and later her father comes out and he says to Urmila Mataji, he says, your spiritual master is a very genuine person. So he was happy that she was following someone very nice. So yeah. Who else? Yeah, so anyway, so devotees, parents or relatives, they are all benefited if one becomes a pure devotee. But of course, it's nice to, if someone is doing this already, it's nice to continue, just to not break the social tradition. In a sense, if one is not a pure devotee, it's good to keep on doing your duty. Like if one is doing Shraddha, then we continue Shraddha ceremony. Because Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, if it's not necessary to give up your duty, then don't give up your duty. So just for the sake of giving up. So Kadamba Kanan Maharaj, he once said in one lecture, Krishna, when you go back to Godhead and Krishna is there, and you may tell Krishna, can my parrot also come with me? And Krishna will say, okay, your parrot can also come. So Krishna is merciful. So if a devotee is someone close to someone, then Krishna is also merciful to that person. So that is why the subtle laws of karma does not exist for the devotee, but because Krishna is in charge of the devotee. The material energy is no more in charge. Krishna is directly involved in the devotees' lives. For everyone else, Krishna is involved, but through the material energy. But for the devotee, Krishna is directly involved. So the subtle laws do not exist for a pure devotee. So yeah, Chitraketu, he was lamenting very much that his son had died. But this is one of my best story in the Bhagavatam. Because, it's my best. Because it has, and later on there is also how he becomes Vrittasura, and there is such nice prayers by Vrittasura. Before it was, but the story is like after Chitraketu becomes Vrittasura. So I actually wrote one poem of this pastime. Maybe I can quickly read just for glorifying. Let me see if I can find this poem. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I can't find it. Anyway, I can read next time. Would you like to say?
For devotees, exists karma.
Pure devotees.
No, only pure. When they surrender,
Yeah.
is our karma. What happens with our karma?
I think Krishna uses the karma sometimes to purify also. But of course Krishna says, Sarva dharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja. Aham tvam sarva papi. Krishna takes away everything. Yeah. I was asking one astrologer, not asking, but I heard one astrologer say that when you become a devotee, normally the karmas, he didn't see the karma change, but he saw that Krishna used the karma for the devotee to purify him.
How can you see the bad karma can be used to purify the devotee?
Karma is, when you use it for purifying, it's not bad.
No, but I mean, when you get bad karma, how can Krishna use that to purify someone?
For example, let's say that our karma maybe is to lose our money, let's say, and Krishna lets this happen, but he reminds the devotee that he uses this event of losing all one's money so that now the devotee can surrender fully to Krishna. So he used the karma of the devotee to help the devotee surrender more. Yeah, Prabhupada quotes this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam in his poem where he says, when Krishna is merciful to someone, he takes away everything. And the devotee has nothing but to surrender. So people sometimes are afraid to surrender because they think Krishna takes away. One of Krishna's name is Hari. Hari means one who takes away everything. But we don't have to worry, because when Krishna takes, but he also gives. He takes away just to test, but when you pass the test, he gives. Just like Prabhupada, he took away his business, but he gave so much. He took away his small business, maybe his family, but he gave so much. So Krishna is merciful, we don't have to worry. There is a saying in Hindi, I think, or Nepali, maybe both, where it says, if you want to take from God, how much can you take with your small hands? But if God wants to give, how much can He give? He can give so much with His big hands. Yeah. So if Krishna wants to give, He can give you. Once Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was doing Sankirtan initial days, and he didn't want, when the devotees joined in those days, they would go out to work to support the temple. They would go, Prabhupada, because there was one devotee, Jayananda Prabhu. He was one of the most senior. He was a PhD, but he was so frustrated that he was driving taxi, and he was the temple president, and he would drive taxi and support the temple. And Prabhupada said, just him going out to work, and it's not very good. All of you should go and find work to support the temple. So I remember devotees like Vishnujan Swami, he knew how to play flute. So he made flute, bamboo stick flute, and he would sit on the street and he would play Hare Krishna all day, and he would sell flute. And Guru Das, he went to work in a camera Kodak company shop. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj also went to work in Kodak this shop. Jayapataka Maharaj, he went to clean one restaurant. So they all were, and Jayapataka Maharaj, he asked Prabhupada, this was a restaurant that had, of course, selling meat and all. So he asked Prabhupada, can I work in a meat restaurant? And Prabhupada gave, from the Shastras, he said, those who cook and do all these things, they have karma, but nothing is mentioned about those who clean. So it's okay, he said. Yeah. So, and Prabhupada asked everyone to get jobs, but Tamal Krishna Maharaj didn't like this job. So, and every lunchtime, all of them would come out from their job and they would do Sankirtan in the street every lunch. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj didn't like this job. His job was to get the camera film, put it in some kind of liquid, break it. So, like this, break it. Camera film just. So he didn't like this. And he really wanted to get out of this job. He didn't like it at all. So he wrote to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada wrote to him, okay, if you don't like the job, just go out on Harinam all day, just depend on Krishna. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was excited. He wanted to organize this Harinam every day because he didn't want to go to the job. So he organized it, and they would do Harinam all day, and then they would collect some donations on conch shell. They would take this conch shell and ask for donation on the conch shell. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was writing every day how much we collected to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, this day we collected this much. This day we collected this much. And Prabhupada, he wrote back, don't be so concerned about the money. If Krishna wants, he can give you the whole America to you. The question is, what will you do with it? So if Krishna wants, he can give us everything. It's just a question of how much we are qualified. So if we are ready, Krishna can give as much as needed for our service. But we have to be ready. So Krishna is ready to, he's ready to help. He's ready to give. He does not give sometimes because if he gives, he is like a father. A father does not give whatever the child wants. Father knows that if I give this to the child will be spoiled. Sometimes if you give money to the children, they will buy whatever they want. They will be spoiled. So Krishna is like, he does not give what we want, he gives what we need. There is a saying. So, other demigods, they give what you want. Like Lord Shiva, he just gives what you want. Because he does not, it is said, he is meditating on Lord Rama. He does not want to be disturbed. So if someone asks for something, he just gives it. Okay, take and go away. And other demigods, if they are pleased, they just give, if someone, but Krishna does not give. And like that, because he is like a loving father. Anything else? No? Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.